Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another new choke that we've never tested on the channel, so I'm definitely excited to see what it can do, especially since several of you guys have said that you've gotten good results out of it and that I should try it with some of these shells to see what would happen. So I guess we'll see what I can get out of it. But as for that setup we've got out here today to test, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag with this choke, which is the new guy for today. This is a Carlson's ported turkey choke. It's the 675 constriction. I'm honestly surprised Carlson's didn't come up with a better name than the ported turkey choke, but that is what it's called. And sitting at 675, we know that this 835 typically does pretty decently at that constriction. So as we test this choke, we'll see what it can actually do. But as for the shells we're going to be running through it today, a couple of you guys that requested to see that choke wanted to see these shells run through it. So I brought out some of the Remington Premier Turkey shells. These ones are the 12 gauge 3.5 inch 2-ounce payload of number 5s, moving about 1,300 feet per second. Now these Remington Premier Turkey shells have been kind of middle of the road, borderline. They've always been good enough to get you a turkey at 40 yards, but they've never given us anything that would be what I would call a super impressive pattern at the same time. So I guess we'll see what these can actually do through that Carlson's ported turkey choke, since a couple of you guys wanted to see it or said that I should actually try that combo. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the turkey paper set up at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity from the shell. So let's get you guys to view this target, and we'll take the shot and see just what kind of a pattern that this Carlson's ported 675 turkey choke can give us with these Remington Premier turkeys. Even though this is the first test of this choke, I still have a feeling that we're going to be limited by what the shells can do. But we don't know unless we try it, so let's head over here and take our shot and see what kind of a pattern we can get. All right, so that shell gave us 1184 through the chronograph. The box claim is 1300, so we are a good bit under that box claim, but I honestly kind of think that might help us with these shells a little bit, because sometimes when you push a pretty averagely or poorly loaded turkey shell to a velocity that's too high for them, it just blows the pattern out. And typically, right around that mid 1100 to 1200 mark seems to be kind of a sweet spot for shells like this. So I think, although we didn't see the box claim, we're looking pretty good up here as far as velocity goes. But what kind of a pattern did they actually give us through that Carlson's ported 675 choke? Let's go check it out and see what we got. All right, well, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. And I gotta say, I am rather impressed and pretty surprised at this performance from these shells. Without even looking any farther into it, this is pretty much automatically the best pattern that we've gotten out of those shells, without a doubt. And it's a pattern that I would not be scared to hunt with in the slightest. Now, I do think we were pretty centered up here, and as you can see, that turkey is absolutely hammered at 40 yards. I mean, that's a pretty nasty little clump of shot right down there through his neck. So yeah, for a core, looking pretty decent there. For the outer edges, they do broaden out just a little bit down there at the bottom right or up there at the top left maybe. Now, is it as tight or condensed as what a Longbeard XR number 5 shell would be? No, it's not. But hey, for one of these Remington turkey shells, I'll take that all day long. It might not have a super tight baseball core, but the core is plenty even enough, and it gives you a little bit of leeway on all sides if you had to make an awkward shot or something like that. So yeah, that is a combination that would absolutely be a deadly combo out to 40 yards for you all day long. So I am definitely a little surprised. I expected that Carlson's ported turkey choke to give us some good results with some shells, but I definitely think it kind of outperformed my expectations with these Remington shells. But they have given us tremendously worse time and time and time again. So to see a pattern like that, I'm saying that we might have a really nice performing choke on our hands. So I guess this pattern can kind of speak for itself. Is it the tightest turkey pattern we've ever seen? No. Is it the ultimate or the best turkey pattern we've ever gotten? No. But it is very, very usable, and I would not hesitate to take that out on a turkey hunt, which is something that I don't really ever say with a Remington turkey shell. So I would call it a win for us today at the end of the day here. Okay, and here's the wad they use in that shell, and it is your very typical Remington style wad. They have the little ribs on the inside of the pedals, maybe to stiffen them up a little bit or something. Didn't open up perfectly even, but that is very common for these Remington wads. Definitely a little bit scraped up and banged up, especially down here on the little tail skirt, but we went through a ported turkey choke, so that is a very common occurrence, all things considered here. So the wad, although it's nothing super fancy or super impressive, I think it did its job pretty decently and was able to control our shot well enough to give us a pretty decent pattern, all things considered. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that pattern right there? Definitely a very solid, very usable turkey pattern. There's really not a whole lot we can complain about with that. It might not be the tightest core or the best overall turkey pattern that we've gotten or anything like that, but for a Remington shell, that is probably the best performance we've ever gotten out of one of them, which I didn't really expect from today's combination. But that's why you test things, because you never really know what's going to perform well and what's going to perform surprisingly terrible until you actually test it. So the fact that we've got a turkey pattern from a Remington shell that I would not be scared to hunt with leads me to believe that that Carlson's ported turkey choke is probably going to be a pretty nice performer for us. So I guess leave your thoughts in the comments. Is that about what you expected? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested either that Carlson's ported turkey choke or the Remington Premier Turkey 3.5-inch shells or anything like that? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a good enough pattern for you to want to take out on a turkey hunt? And is there another shell or choke combo that you might want to see us test with either that Carlson's ported 675 or these Remington Premier turkeys? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it. But I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.